CBS News senior foreign affairs correspondent and Face the Nation moderator Margaret Brennan joins us now. Margaret, good morning. Given the prominence of Soleimani in the Middle East, how is Iran reacting to this killing, and what kind of response should the U.S. expect going forward?
This is a seismic event. This is huge. And there is really shock that this escalation took place. The Trump administration is saying it wants to de-escalate, and this targeted assassination of Qassem Soleimani is likely to have the opposite effect. This is like taking out another country, taking out the CIA director of the vice president of the United States. Yes, Soleimani was considered a terrorist, but he was a right-hand man to Iran's supreme leader. He was a revered general. And all of this is happening at a time the Iranian regime is financially desperate. They've been struggling under U.S. sanctions. But killing Soleimani may actually help unify Iran. Iran's supreme leader has already named his deputy head of the Revolutionary Guards. So the group he led is not going away, even though the leader and the strategist is gone.
Margaret, Soleimani, as we've been reporting, has been a major military force in the region for years, but previous presidents have elected not to target him because of the potential impact. So what do you think was behind the president's decision to do it now?
Anthony, this is an act of war. That is why past presidents have stopped short of it. President Trump's decision, it is certainly a bold one, but we have very little detail into what made him make this decision. There was silence across the national security community last night, and Secretary of State Pompeo is not giving a lot of detail this morning, but saying there was an active, imminent plot against the United States. What's unusual in that is that Qassem Soleimani has been directing imminent attacks against U.S. interests for years, particularly the past 2.5 years. And the Trump administration has been piling sanctions on Iran. None of it has stopped Iran's aggressive behavior. So President Trump has taken this more extreme position of assassinating this leader. But we don't know what happens next.
Margaret, in response to the U.S. airstrikes on their soil, Iraq's parliament is expected to vote to expel U.S. troops from the nation, where the U.S. has a very large, important presence there. What impact would that forced withdrawal have on America's goals in that region?
Well, this is so significant in terms of the spillover effect. This is a really uncomfortable position for Baghdad to be in. And what you raise is a really key question, because the U.S. troops are only there with the permission and at the request of the Iraqi government to carry out operations in nearby Syria against terrorists and to use Iraq as a base of operations to do that. We have at least 5,000 U.S. troops in Iraq. What happens to their presence? Does Iraq allow them to remain? How big does the U.S. diplomatic presence and intelligence presence remain inside of Iraq? So assassinating Qassem Soleimani on Iraqi soil causes a lot of political complications for the leaders of Iraq. It could destabilize Baghdad.
Margaret, the Pentagon is characterizing this as a preemptive strike, but I have to ask, could the fallout, the counterstrike, the potential counterstrike, will it put American lives in danger?
Well, the administration has said American lives are in danger. They're telling Americans, get out of Iraq now if you were there. The U.S. personnel have already been drawn down over the past few months. We're at lower levels in terms of U.S. diplomats than we've been in quite some time. You have to believe that today there are conversations about considering taking further action. We've heard from mayors across the United States and New York City and other cities saying they're looking domestically at security procedures here on U.S. soil. And you've seen the call logs just in the past few hours from the Secretary of State calling American allies in the U.K. and France and Germany, trying to reassure them that this is not an attempt to escalate things into a war, but rather to de-escalate. Those countries are concerned that what remains of the diplomatic deal with Iran to keep its nuclear program frozen may now have gone out the door yesterday with this assassination. There are a lot of worst-case scenarios being talked about and played out.
All right, Margaret Brennan. Thank you, Margaret.